Welcome to Newsroom. We are coming to you live from our studios at the Platinum Place here in Accra. I am Nadima Umar Uthman. Coming up in this bulletin. Former Power Minister Kobna Donko denies any involvement in an alleged bribery scheme linked to a power project following the conviction of former executive director at Goldman Sachs, Kweku Asante-Beku. Meanwhile, Office of the Special Prosecutor revealed its behind-the-scenes investigative support to the United States authorities contributed to the conviction of former Tema Oil Refinery Managing Director Asante Kweku Beku. And later, Electricity Company of Ghana begins four-day planned maintenance exercise in parts of Accra East, starting from today. In business, CATS International calls on DVLA to immediately suspend the delinquency penalties imposed on drivers who renew or replace expired driver's licenses. The details of these and many more coming up shortly. Stay with us. Thanks for your company once again. Remember, this bulletin is streaming live on all our social media platforms at GHOne TV. Now, former Ghanaian Power Minister Kobna Donko has denied any involvement in an alleged bribery scheme linked to a power plant project, following the conviction in the United States of former executive director at Goldman Sachs, Kweku Asante-Beku. Now, the former managing director of the Tema Oil Refinery was convicted in a federal court in New York in the U.S. after U.S. prosecutors accused him of conspiring to pay $1 million in bribes to Ghanaian government officials. Meanwhile, the Office of the Special Prosecutor has revealed that its behind-the-scenes investigative support to the United States authorities contributed to the conviction of the former Tema Oil Refinery MD, Asante Kweku Beku, in the high-profile international bribery case. The OSP said on August 10 that it assisted the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation with investigative and evidentiary material through Ghana's established mutual legal assistance framework. According to the anti-corruption agency, the support provided by Ghana was specifically recognized by the United States Department of Justice as having played a significant role in the prosecution of the $1 million bribery scheme. A federal jury in Brooklyn, New York, found Mr. Beku guilty on August 6, 2026, of charges relating to a scheme to pay more than $1 million in bribes to Ghanaian officials between 2014 and 2015. While reacting to this development, former Member of Parliament for Anya Sotum, Adomako Kisi, has called for stronger systems to scrutinize government contracts and prevent future corruption-related scandals. His comments follows concerns over contractual agreements allegedly brought to light through investigations involving a foreign country. He says the developments present an opportunity to test government's commitment to fighting corruption. He spoke earlier on GA Today.
And unfortunately, we have a country where when police arrest, there's not a body to review all the arrests if they are in line with the laws of this country. When people are arraigned in court and a judgment is placed on them, we don't have a body that carefully reviews them and then make a call to the judge that, hey, exercise caution on your next case for these reasons or for that reason. You know, we don't do that as a country. And I think it's very important that we look at some of these things, and then people can question contracts by virtue of the perception of corruption within the contracts, and by virtue of the fact that they have rights to the information based on this act that was passed. Right.
Meanwhile, General Secretary of the United Party, Richard Suma, says the fight against corruption must go beyond the prosecution of low-level offenders with stronger mechanisms needed to identify and pursue influential persons suspected of wrongdoing. According to him, Ghana continues to lose critical resources through corruption that could otherwise have been used to address major developmental challenges. He also spoke on GA today.
Why is it that we in Ghana, we haven't been able to identify, we've not been able to recognize such things have happened? So this gives you a clear indication that many more have happened. Perhaps it has not gotten to the public attention yet. So we will only urge the national security agencies, IOCO, OSP, whoever is mandated to fight crime or suspicion of corruption and anything, they should look at what mechanisms can we put in place to prevent such things from happening. Because you and I have agreed that corruption is the reason why we are not making a lot of headway as a country. Simply because the wastage that what we siphon through corruption is enough to build us a different Akosombo Dam. What we siphon through corruption, we are still talking about the fact that we have 10,000 schools under trees. What we siphon through corruption can't be able to eradicate all the schools under trees. What we siphon through corruption, today you go to the northern part of Ghana, you still see human beings drinking the same water pond with cows, with other animals. Are we really serious as a group of people? So what can we do to curtail it? So now it is only about how we punish perpetrators.
Right.
But you see, in an attempt to punish perpetrators, political activism sweeps in immediately. In the light of this Galamsey issue we are fighting and all these things we are trying to combat it. When a big fish, we have all admitted that in Ghana we have never been able to have the balls enough to go after the big fishes. We are always looking for the small fishes. Haven't they convicted about 25 Ghanaians in Takwa before because of illegal mining?
Let's stay a while longer on this and engage anti-grafts campaigner Edem Senano. Edem, many thanks for joining us here on Newsroom. I want to pick your initial thoughts on what you make about the conviction of the former TOR MD.
Well, I found it very embarrassing. Clearly, this was an international transaction. Don't forget, we had American companies that bid for this. And I think that we should not take it against our investigative and anti-corruption agencies, because the original complaint was lodged abroad, and not too surprising because the financial transactions used for the facilitation came from outside our jurisdiction. So somebody noticed that millions of dollars were used to facilitate a process, and they're wondering why, especially when the process ended up in a result where it's a Turkish company that won it. So extremely embarrassing. I can't understand that anyone would assume that they could get into such an American system and do things like this and get away with it. And yes, certainly those other persons, the 5 who had all expense paid trip and the parliamentarians, we need to know their identities, and then this investigation should go beyond what we've had to establish if the other persons who should be sanctioned.
Adam, you just highlighted a key detail about why we have this conviction now. You mentioned that because it's outside the jurisdiction of Ghana and happened in the United States. Does this now bring or highlight the major gaps we have in our system where usually we don't see convictions like this, or it takes a very long time before even anybody is actually convicted of anything?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, in this case, I think that the data will suggest that they have been at it probably at least 4 years, the U.S. Investigation itself. Indeed, I think that just trying to extradite Mr. Belkun from the UK, because he argued he was a dual citizen of both U.S. and Ghana, and why wouldn't they bring to Ghana? He was able to stem them off for at least a year and a half or so. So it's been a long time coming. On one hand, I think that it is about the financing, where the money came from for paying for this. And our systems do have the opportunity for citizens to also complain if you are aware of such things. So, yes, we probably have gotten these high-profile because it was in the U.S. But I think that in Ghana as well, we've had high-profile cases. And if we would allow our institutions to continue to build themselves, we will get there. So yes, the OSP helped the Department of Justice to get where it is. And mind you, with cases of this nature, I'm quite sure that the support must have been substantive, because you need witnesses who are there. You're not going to find everything in an electronic trail. It's very rare for it to be in an electronic trail. At some point, the money is cashed, and then people are handling it. And those who are handling and giving, if you don't have some of them who turn prosecution witness, it's difficult to establish the case fully.
Right. Adam, let's talk about the OSP now and the statement they earlier released. And they said that its evidence and investigative support were recognized by the U.S. Department of Justice. What is your thoughts on that? A lot of people have commented on why we need to even know this in the first place, and also prosecutions involving the OSP and whether or not they are making any headway.
Well, two things. One, it is important that where there's collaborative work, all the parties are recognized, because then it gives you clarity as to who is involved and the capacities they have to deliver. I think it's a good thing to show that this was not just done by the U.S. itself. Otherwise, you have the impression, which is what the commentary has been, that how come nobody in Ghana was aware, no agency in Ghana was involved, But that's not the case. I think what they're trying to establish is that the end of the result you've seen in the U.S. is due to substantive support and assistance from Ghana, and I think that is important. Now, as to what has the OSP been able to achieve, I think that there's been too much barrage against the OSP. Listen, for the last, 4 or 5 months, they've had to sit and wait because our politicians don't want to be accountable, and they took them to court, say they don't have the right to exist. Fortunately, our judiciary has cleared that, a 7-0 unanimous, ruling. It just tells you that was counter the narrative that was going around. And what happened? They've lost all the momentum they had gathered in those cases. Prior to that, I remember there were at least 13 cases they had won, and so on and so forth. But people kept saying, oh, they've not won a single case, they've not retrieved any money. It's I think it's an intentional coalition of persons who just don't want any institution that can hold them accountable. So let's give the OSP space. They have won cases. They have retrieved money. If anyone wants to go to their website, you see what has been achieved.
Right.
They've had to be silent for the last how many months. But now that the Supreme Court has ruled, I'm expecting that the mid-year report of the SP, which again was one of the challenges that was raised, that they don't have the right to give any report to the people of this country. Now that it's been cleared by the Supreme Court, I'm hoping in the next week or two, the SP will take the advantage and brief us on what is going on and further steps that they will pursue.
Right. Thank you so much for engaging us here on Newsroom. That was Adam Senan, who is an anti-graft campaigner, giving us his thoughts on the conviction of the former TOR MD in the United States. But you out there have also been reacting to this development. Nana Marquardt is bringing us those thoughts and comments. Hello, Nana.
Thank you, Nadima. We picked some comments from the Office of the Special Prosecutor's page. We start with Ewoj, who says, Office of Special Collaboration. We hear you. We also have Dan Gariba. So what exactly are you doing domestically to find the collaborators? Or we're fast asleep. We also have Silas. In the same way the OSP assisted the FBI, can the FBI also assist OSP to bring King Ofori-Atta to Ghana? We also have Humphrey. Is that all? I thought you will say you're inviting some individuals involved and questioning them. Kojo says, if there was a payment, then someone collected. So who collected? What amount? Let's have the names and collect our cash. Prince, if they conduct full investigation, our current president will be involved. Okay, are you an investigator? And we also have Mohammed. So what about the Ghanaian government officials who took the bribe? Then Daniel Andor says, then basically you have the list already. What are you waiting for, Mr. Special Prosecutor? We also have Tete Zuta. So since 2020, what did we also do here in Ghana with regard to those allegedly involved? Yakub Swale, why are you so in a hurry for his sentence? What about the other conspirators? Then, sorry about that. We also have here, Yeboah Prince. How about the people who took the bribe? Franklin Selassie, don't take credit for what you know little about. Ken Ofori-Atta is still a fugitive. We also have Niho. I trust OSP on this case than the AG. And our last comment is from Jabba. At the end, we thought you were going for the officials who took the bribe here in Ghana or the chairman himself day inside. I think most people are looking for accountability, which is what I think all of Ghana wants from those in authority. My name is Nanama Akwa. Nadima, back over to you.
Thank you so much, Nanama. Let's do some more stories as the Electricity Company of Ghana will today, Monday, August 10, begin a 4-day planned maintenance exercise in parts of Accra East. The exercise, which runs through Thursday, August 13, is expected to cause temporary power disruptions in affected communities between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. each day. ECG says the exercise is part of efforts to undertake essential maintenance works and improve the reliability of electricity supply. Today, customers in Teman, Oyarifa, Mrs. Smith, parts of Odbojo, and other areas are expected to experience an outage from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The final phase on August 13, that is on Thursday, will affect Ashimoto School and surrounding areas from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. ECG has urged customers in the affected communities to take note of their schedule and make the necessary arrangements ahead of the temporary interruptions. Well, Vice President Professor Zenator has dismissed discussions about who will lead the governing NDC after President John Dramani Mahama exits office. She also noted that it is premature to speculate about future presidential contests when the administration has been elected to solve the country's problems.
Consider running for president?
I knew that question. We worked very, very hard at our manifesto. It took a number of years. Our methodology was demanding, and our presidential candidate then took the lead. He had a speak out tour, if you remember. Poor man going around the country, engaging people. We followed when we did the manifesto. People volunteered. People flew into Accra. People drove, just coming to share ideas on how we could reset our country. We didn't have money. Listen, it was a very, very good experience. But we all felt energized. We had a draft of a manifesto. We stepped out to campaign, went everywhere. The people of Ghana were merciful. They voted for us. For a reason, they voted massively, and we remain grateful. They didn't vote for us today to be talking about going or not going. They said we should come and solve the problems. We have an agenda. What we inherited was a very, very tough situation. We have work to do. Whether we are going or coming depends on the work we are doing. It depends on the support we are giving our president, who is leading the charge. And it depends on the quality of support we are giving. And if you're already going left and right and center and back, and it's not even time, I think it's a betrayal of the cause of the people, and I don't think it is right. So please help us to fulfill the dreams of this beautiful country that we know can do much better even than it is doing now. Let us focus on getting the job done. And I think that, speaking for myself, that is what I want to do.
Well, that is the position of the Vice President. Let's now get some thoughts on her comments. Joining us is political analyst Dr. Jonathan Asante-Okyere. Doc, many thanks for joining us. How significant is the Vice President's position, especially that the conversation about who will succeed President John Dramani Mahama will not go away?
It is significant. Let me say good afternoon to your viewers. It is significant in the sense that it sends a particular all those who are interested in succeeding the president. There is a job to do, and I think that she has really demonstrated that kind of high maturity in her responses, because not until the Council of Elders came out with an edict, we saw how people were jockeying for opposition here and there in terms of wanting to have, a step ahead of peers or those that they have in mind who equally want to contest. And so the Vice President has come into the fray by ensuring that he's creating that kind of stability in the government of President Mahama. All what we're trying to see is that there is a job to be done, a mandate has been given, and that mandate you ought not to be taken for granted. And so everybody must support the president to succeed. And I think that couldn't have been stated any better.
But Doc, is it politically wise for the NDC to sort of put this, whole conversation about succession on hold?
Well, it could be very destructive if not careful about, the whole process. Except that the two things that the current government under President Mahama will have to do that will ensure their credibility. One is about the economy, and I think that they are getting it right in terms of the economic indicators they inherited from the previous government and how these indicators are showing as far as the current, affairs of the economy, are concerned. The second one I have said is the transiting from Mr. Mahama to the next person. That road is very torturous, and if they don't behave as the name of the party indicates, that is the Congress, then they will end up having, a fractured front. And so that is the more reason why it is instructed the Vice President is reiterating virtually the view of Dr. Callistus, the view of the Council of Elders, and so on and so forth. That needs to create stability. The period for that temporary chaos is not yet, due. And that is my position over the period. I think that some of the times you hear polls here, polls there, all these things are just destructive. They tend to actually create problems among and within the appointees of the president. And we also, how it came to a stalemate, when two ministries, of course, at the end of the day, the Greek minister came out, spoke, maturely by making us understand that there is no problem, right, as far as the two ministries are concerned.
Right.
So that itself has ensured that sleeping dogs, are not lying. But other than that, there is some maneuvering behind the scenes, scheming behind the scenes. Those things would definitely take place. But it shouldn't be at the front burner because that in itself could distract government and could distract those at the presidency as well.
Right, Doc. Speaking of maneuvers and schemes, what should the party itself be doing to sort of manage the expectations? Definitely people within the party have their own political ambitions. What should the party be doing?
Well, obviously the party has its own timetable. They've already started, organizing the branch. Definitely we have a timetable somewhere September thereabout. They're never going to get to the next constituency, orphan constituencies. They're going to look at for the regional and then also national. And then the constitution, once you have a sitting president, the time for the presidential thing will take place.
Right.
So maybe the party will now put in place some of these mechanisms. But I will take the opportunity to use your platform to suggest that when it comes to the presidential candidature, I think some kind of debate among the contestants or the candidates would do a lot of good to the party and to the nation.
Right. Thank you so much for speaking to us. That was Dr. Jonathan Asante-Otri, who is a political analyst. In some more stories, founder of the International Central Gospel Church, Dr. Mensa Otabil, has criticized Ghanaians, particularly Christians, for allowing partisan politics to overshadow the vision of building a national cathedral. Dr. Otabil, who quietly resigned from the National Cathedral Board of Trustees in 2022, says the project presented Christians with an opportunity to build a monumental institution to the glory of God. He, however, says the vision was undermined by criticisms and political considerations surrounding the project.
Ghana wanted to build a national cathedral. Christians beat it up with their own mouth. Others are building things all over. We are so small-minded that we allow politics to blind us. We allow politics to just crush our thinking. We need to build massively to the glory of God.
An Islamic preacher, Imam Masood, has apologized for comments suggesting that anyone who insults the Prophet Muhammad should be killed. The preacher said his remarks were made in reference to his understanding of Islamic law and were not intended to suggest that such punishments should be applied under the Ghanaian law. He says several people contacted him after the comments, prompting him to clarify his position and apologize to religious leaders and Ghanaians.
Assembly na ekoso amanfo ekeka ana mpanyinfo efrefre me efasa asam no ho eno no de say last 2 weeks me hotuba ekire konsheni Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam bere any Islam mara ekire say obi a woye ni sei mara Islam mara ekire say yenye ni sei to me kan sa no yam say me mpanyinfo Efreme, eka se sa asam no enchei nti menchen sign and kura denti ama ba gina ha no amedi a chaupa ade magana fo nyinara enim penyufo asam no ebeba mu ntem no se mesra mu mun se nipa de akoma wo yi kasani ese ebufuo ena bae ena ma asam no etimi fie ma no preko ebae enti mesre se asam na mekan no mesre mo machi asan man ka se Ghana ni bi enkokum Ghana ni bi there be menkan sa.
Let's stay a while longer on this. If you've been on social media, you might have chanced on the Imam's comments that said that anyone who, if there's any criticism against the Prophet Muhammad, the person should be killed. He has come out to apologize. But let's get another perspective on this. Joining me via Zoom is the spokesperson of the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Armiel Shaib. Sheikh, many thanks for joining us. The Imam has apologized, but many feel that it's still not enough. He should be picked up by the Ghana police because his comments were very insightful. Do you agree?
Indeed, I agree. As a Muslim who is passionately committed to the peace and harmony and security and the stability of our country, I think that the apology is not enough. The statement he made was reckless. He didn't think about the implications of what he said. He didn't create the context. He said he said so out of anger. That particular, what triggered the anger has not been stated. Is it that somebody said something and he is replying the person? All those things are not clear. But the most important thing is that he has made a statement that can influence the mindset of some of our young people whom we've taken long time to orient to reject the mindset of violence in this country. We have been particularly very involving in all the security consultations and conversations to make a contribution towards ensuring that our country remains safe. And then we also maintain national cohesion, interfaith harmony, and religious coexistence. So for him to have come to say this undermines all the efforts that we have made. And we cannot assume that it will not influence anybody. And because of that, I strongly have a position that he must be invited and interrogated. His identity must be well established. And and what he also has done is a violation of our law. We are Ghana here. We are a country of religious multiplicity. And that's why if you come to our educational space, we teach Islam, we teach Christianity. Indeed, we even teach African traditional religion.
Right.
So in Ghana here, you cannot incite any one religion against the other. We need our peace. So the Chief Imam has asked that, the Chief Imam has condemned it. A press release has been sent out to that effect. He has condemned it. We have said instead of in spite of the apology, he must be invited for interrogation.
Right. Sheikh, you also spoke about the issue of context. And that has come up in social media conversations where people feel like you have also highlighted that there was a need for him to talk about the context in which he spoke, right? From the Islamic perspective, is that what Islam teaches?
Yeah, I mean, in Islam, I'm a Muslim, and I don't shy away from the fact that we hold the Prophet Muhammad in high esteem. Indeed, the Quran calls on us to hold him above any other human being who ever lived on the earth. The Prophet himself has indicated that even our faith will not be complete if we don't hold him dearest to our heart more than we'll hold any other person dear to our heart. Yeah, so, and then secondly, the Quran itself has indicated that whoever denigrates or hurts the personality of Allah and his apostle, Allah will curse such a person or persons who subject Allah and his apostle to any such denigration or hold them in abject contempt. Yes, the Quran says so, but that one is left to Allah. He said that person will be cursed. Right. And usually when Allah says so, there is room for one to repent and to say that what I have said is wrong. And Allah himself is the one who forgives.
Right.
But that is the statement, that he is held in so much high esteem that you cannot subject his personality to any derogation.
Right. Right. Thank you so much for engaging us. That was Sheikh Arimiao, who is the spokesperson for the National Chief Imam. We stay a while longer on this and get another perspective. Joining me is the Progress Manager for West Africa Center for Counter-Terrorism, Sadiq Educhum. Sadiq, many thanks for joining us. From a counter-extremism perspective, what is the biggest danger here? Is it the original statement or the way it was amplified? Because bear in mind that when he made that statement, a lot of people spoke to what is happening in Nigeria, for instance, northern Nigeria, where such conversations like this degenerated into bigger problems. Sadiq.
Yeah, hello. Thank you very much, my sister. Thank you so much. And let me say assalamu alaikum to the viewers out there. And to say that I want to add my voice. Please, can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I want to add my voice to what Sheikh just mentioned, and to say that the act is very condemnable. And when it comes to the issue of diversity and pluralism, even in the Quran, I mean, right from the chapter 2, and that is the whole Quran, chapter 2, verse 266, it talks about there's no compulsion in religion. And so for me, from the angle of religion, that is the basis with which we need to kind of embrace what we call diversity and pluralism. That is the context of religion. I mean, that's it from that perspective. Now, when it comes to issues of violence, extremism, and terrorism, and I want to emphasize this on the work that the West Africa Center for Counter-Extremism has been doing over the last 14 years. One of the things that we have been talking about, and we are very stern on talking about, is the issue of religious tolerance. Because in the research and most of the things that we have done, you realize that the act of expression, which is framed, you see, so in communication, it is also part of what we call framing within the space of the act of terrorism and violent extremism. So there are certain languages that are very, very prescribed that we are not supposed to use. The moment you use that, you kind of draw people to that inclination of attacking other people. And for Ghana as a country, one of the things that we need to uphold and know, and I'm sure a lot of people don't know when we continue to talk about this, is that Ghana at this point, at the crossroads when it comes to violent extremism, terrorism, looking at what is happening within the Sahel enclave, what is holding us is the interfaith tolerance that we have been able to enshrine. And we have that in the body of an exemplary life when it comes to the chief imam, when it comes to peace, advocacy, when it comes to the embracing of each other. And so it is something that we really need to look at when it comes to exclusion from the act of intolerance,
right,
from ethnicity, religion, to language, race, color, sex, and gender. I think that are very no good when it comes to the issue of the peace in this country.
Right. Thank you so much for speaking to us. That was Sadiq Educhum, who is the Progress Manager for West Africa Center for Counter-Extremism. Away from that, former Anyasoto Member of Parliament, Dr. Dixon Adomakokesi, says the appointment of Dr. Zenator Rollins as Minister-Designate for Environment is long overdue as Ghana continues to grapple with environmental challenges, including illegal mining and flooding. Dr. Adomakokesi also noted that Dr. Zenator could provide a strong voice for environmental concerns within the cabinet and push for stronger government action.
And Prof is here, would attest to the fact that this climate change has not been very nice to third world countries. And we suffer the brunt more than the Western world. And for that reason, to be going through the flooding issues we're having without a substantive environment minister was terrible. And when you don't have somebody seated at a table wearing just the environment hat, it makes a difference. So now cabinet would have somebody really, truly responsible for our environment and making a case to the president and impressing on him that, hey, the environment matters. In all of this I'm saying, our contemporary is suffering. In all of this I'm saying, even our own cocoa, in terms of mineral derivatives that are being found in the cocoa, and amongst other things, is quite worrying. Senator Rollins has also arrived. I don't think it's necessarily, out of any issues for the delay in her arrival, but it has been long awaited to see her also get something. All right.
We hit the streets of the capital to find out what some of you had to say about the appointment of Dr. Zenator Rollins to the Environment Ministry. While some believe her strong background and interest in defense could have made her a better fit for the Defense Ministry, others say what matters most is her ability to tackle issues currently affecting Ghana's environment.
Well, I had the Ministry for Defense in mind because I feel she's courageous. She's a woman of valor. Yeah. And then with her late father's experience, she could have done she could have operated more in the Ministry of Defense. That's my opinion, though.
Look at the best finance ministers we have had in this country. Very few have been economists or finance persons. Some have been engineers, some have been lawyers. You understand? So it doesn't really matter. It's about your own ability to deliver what is expected of you. Not necessarily, of course, she's a medical doctor. So maybe someone would have thought that maybe they will give her Ministry of Health. You understand? But she's been given another portfolio. So it's at that stage in management. It's about leadership. You understand? It doesn't really matter your training, your professional background, but it's about your ability to lead and deliver the goods. That's all it is. It doesn't really matter the portfolio.
Ministry of Children Affairs, because I see her to be, because I feel I can feel her passion for children and those stuff.
I don't have any ministry in mind, but I think any position that she has been nominated for, she knows how to do her work well, and she handles it well as well. So any position that she will be nominated for, I think it's best for her to take it, then work on it. Yeah, that's my take.
On this and engage coordinator of eco-conscious citizens, Aola. Many thanks for joining us here on Newsroom. Looking, or arguably, one of the biggest challenges Ghana is grappling with when it comes to the environment is illegal mining. Do you think that the appointment of Dr. Zenator would sort of bring some new inroads?
Well, first of all, good afternoon. Thank you for having me. We welcome her appointment. I believe that we need all hands on deck to deal with illegal mining. This is a problem we can easily deal with if the political will is there. We see her as somebody who is not timid, somebody who her heart is on doing something, she's able to do it. So we believe that she will do justice to the rules. But of course, she'll have to hit the ground running because, as you have rightly said, the environment is in a dire state. But I'm very pleased that, for example, right now we have a campaign on Itiwa Forest Reserve. We want it to become a national park. And I know that at the centenary inauguration, she has said that she would also like Itiwa Forest Reserve to become a national park so that it has more protection. So I think that it's a step in the right direction and the environment will be given the attention it deserves.
Right. What would you like to see from her, say, in the first 6 months?
Well, I'd like her to join the fight against irresponsible mining. I know that she's fearless, so everybody who is involved, whether they are closely associated with the party or not, they will be held accountable, named, arrested, prosecuted, because she's a medical doctor. So she knows that there's a time bomb. We are being poisoned. Water is life. We are being poisoned. Our water is not safe. And then, of course, the farmlands have been affected. Somebody was talking about the consumer. It's not just the consumer. The food coming from these areas where the mercury, cyanide, what have you, have seeped into the soil. They are not fit to consume. And when we go to the market, it's not written where the food is coming from. So there's a time bomb going on. That is why the number of kidney disease cases have gone up 4 times. So being a medical doctor, she's very much aware of the time bomb we are sitting on. So I'm sure that she use all the resources at her disposal to ensure that the fight against illegal mining is not just paying lip service to it, but actually trying to get to the roots of the problem and tackling it head on.
Right. Thank you so much for speaking to us. That was Aola Sewa, who is the coordinator of Eco-Conscious Citizens, speaking to what they expect of Dr. Zenator in the next 6 months if she is passed. Away from that, the Chief Executive Officer of the Youth Employment Agency and the Deputy Communications Officer of the NDC, Malik Basintale, says the NDC government is the first administration to fulfill its entire youth manifesto within its first year in office. Malik also, he made the claim in a video currently circulating on social media. Let's take a listen.
We know what we were about. We were firm and we had an aim. And I can tell you today that the NDC is virtually the first political party to have fulfilled our entire youth manifesto in 1 year. Everything we promised in there, we have done it. And so I bring you good news from President Mahama. He says we are going to go back to the drawing board, and for the first time, we will put together a second manifesto and we shall implement it again before the end of his tenure.
Meanwhile, some Ghanaian youth believe that the government is yet to fully deliver on all the promises made to young people, contrary to the claim made by Malik Basintale. Let's listen to that.
I feel like the NDC has done a good job. They are still in work in progress. There's a lot they have to do. And we are praying that by the end of their tenure, they'll be able to finish up with what they promised they'll do. There's more to do. They've done a good job so far. So we are praying that they'll be able to finish up with the rest. And at the end of the tenure, there'll be a good outcome of it. We are praying for the best.
I think it's partly true. Because most of the youth out there still don't have jobs. So when all the youth out there have jobs and then the graduates have jobs, I think the statement he made would be true. But I think it is partially true. Not all true, though.
Just a few. I can't really mention all, but they have done just a few of them. I see that they are also working hard, so the youth should also collaborate with them and then try and
do their best.
They've done half of what they want to do. Yeah, I believe they have done some. I want them to try hard and try to fulfill everything they've said they will do.
To me, I don't agree because the Mahama-led administration just gained power just recently, but I don't think within a short possible time he was able to accomplish whatever he said in the manifesto, because at this stage there is high youth unemployment, lack of roads in some parts of Accra and other villages, and also I think there are more to be done, because Mama promised a 24-hour economy and still we've not seen anything about it. We've just heard it in the manifesto that when he comes there'll be 24-hour economy, but where is the policy that has been able to start that 24-hour economy? So in my opinion, I don't think that 1 year Mama has been able to fulfill his promise. Nah, I don't agree to that.
Let's bring you some business updates now.
The Business Brief is brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
Stakeholders in Ghana's microfinance sector are urging financial institutions to seize new investment opportunities to meet the Bank of Ghana's capital requirements and strengthen their operations. They say the ongoing reforms present a unique opportunity to build stronger, more resilient institutions that can deepen financial inclusion and support economic growth. There's more in this report.
The 24-hour economy concept was nothing more than an effort to expand economic activity in Ghana. Through that, create jobs. And then ensure that we increase our production base.
At the 2026 International Microfinance Investors Summit, which brought together regulators, investors, and industry operators, stakeholders endorsed the tenets of regulatory oversight at play from the central bank. CEO of Dealers Finance, Joe Jackson, described the reforms as a bold and necessary step to address fragmentation and undercapitalization within the sector.
The sector is fragmented, undercapitalized, and has a lot of challenges, big and small. And so the reforms are a bold attempt by the central bank to reinvent the sector, make it more competitive and grow stronger, more resilient institutions. Now, of course, that's the nice part. The other part is the implementation and how, like anything else, to grow a seed, the seed has to die first, and that death is discomfort.
However, CEO and principal partner of AIG Ghana and AIG International, Dr. Sam Ankra, said collective effort is critical for the success of the reforms.
When we talk about these reforms, we are only restricting it to the operators, but it shouldn't be so, because all the components comes together to form the ecosystem that we need. So the key point was to make a clarion call that if we really want to move microfinance to be a mainstay in our banking and finance system, then there's a need for us to consider all the other aspects, including the regulator, the investors, the operators, and the people that develop the softwares and the technologies that we use to market our products.
Executive Director of the Financial Inclusion Advocacy Center, Godfred Krenzel, said the summit created an opportunity for local microfinance institutions to engage directly with international investors interested in providing equity and debt financing to support their growth and regulatory compliance.
Brought in almost about 10 different international investors coming from various countries to meet with the regulators, the policymakers, and as well as the operators to know the best way to get both capital and both debt and equity in order for them to be able to continue providing the service to the communities.
Stakeholders say that with sustained regulatory support and increased investor participation, the reforms will produce stronger and more sustainable microfinance institutions, capitals of expanding access to credit, deepening financial inclusion, and contributing to Ghana's long-term economic development.
In some more stories, CATS International has called on the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, that is the DVLA, to immediately suspend the delinquency penalties imposed on drivers who renew or replace expired driver's licenses. The think tank is also demanding that the DVLA publicly disclose the legal basis, approval process, and method used to calculate the penalties before any further collections are made. There's more in this report.
DVLA's 2026 schedule of licensing and other service fees, a motorist who renews a license prior to its expiration is charged 127 Ghana cedis. That amount, however, climbs to 204 cedis if the license has lapsed for anywhere between 1 day and 6 months. It further goes up to 279 Ghana cedis for lapses of 7 to 12 months. 315 Ghana cedis for up to 2 years, 352 Ghana cedis for up to 4 years, and 404 Ghana cedis for licenses that have been expired for more than 4 years. The same tiered structure applies to the replacement of expired licenses. CATS International maintains that the progressive hikes are inequitable and susceptible to misuse in the absence of clear legal backing. And
Apia Kusi Adomako is the director of West Africa Regional Center of CATS International and joins us for a conversation on this. Sir, many thanks for joining us. Are you suspecting any foul play, reason why you are asking DVLA to suspend this collection exercise?
Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to your viewers. Firstly, when you look into the law, the LI 2519 says that a driver may renew your license 1 month before expiration. May means that it is not mandatory. That means that you can wait for your license to be expired. So far as you are not driving while it has expired, it's not an offense. If the law has said that shall is mandatory, so it means if you do not renew before expiration and you go after it has expired, that is an offense. However, DVLA says that if you go there even 1 day, for example, your license expired on Saturday, you go there to renew it on Monday, they will say 2 days has elapsed, then they charge you delinquency fee. Now, the law, there's no provision in the law that mandates DVLA to charge that amount. Number one. Number two, genuinely, there are lots of Ghanaians who live abroad and they have a Ghanaian license. And whenever they come and their license has expired, then they would go and renew it and they'll be able to drive on the road.
Right.
So you've lived in the US for 3 years, you've come back to Ghana for, let's say, a month, and then you go on to renew your license. They say, oh, your license expired 3 years ago, so you pay delinquency fee based on the expired period. This is unfair to Ghanaians. And the lawmakers did not give DVLA this power. And so DVLA has to stop because there's no basis in the law.
Right. Mr. Pia, have you tabled these concerns to the DVLA?
We have written to them and we are expecting to receive a response to this.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm sure we'll engage you in our subsequent bulletin to get more on the charges that the DVLA is currently undertaking, what it terms as the delinquency charges. But thank you so much for speaking to us. I beg your pardon. That was the director of West Africa Regional Center of CATS International, Mr. Apia Kusi Adomako. Sports is up next.
The Business Brief was brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
it's time for sports. My name is Felix Dazi. Well, the Black Coins have bowed out in WAFCON 2026 and straight entry to the 2027 World Cup after suffering a 2-1 defeat to Malawi in the quarterfinals. Ghana took an early lead and looked on course for a place in the semi-finals, but Malawi fought back with 2 goals to complete a dramatic comeback. Despite a determined performance, the Black Queens were unable to find an equalizer before the final whistle. The result brings Ghana's campaign to an end with a win, a draw and 2 losses, while Malawi advances to the semi-finals to meet Algeria on August 12, 2026. Also in West Africa, Nigeria's dream of making history at the 2026 WAFCON has come to an end. The Super Falcons were on the brink of extending their record with an 11th continental title, having already won the competition a record 10 times. But their campaign was cut short in the quarterfinals after a thunderous 20th minute free kick from teenage defender Merva Nyadu. Despite dominating large spells of the match, Nigeria failed to find a breakthrough as Cameroon equalized or capitalized on a defensive moment to seal victory. Cameroon have now qualified for the Women's World Cup. Also, let's take a look at some transfer news. In transfer news, 2026 World Cup final goal scorer Ferran Torres has reportedly agreed personal terms with Paris Saint-Germain and informed Barcelona of his desire to leave the club. Torres' relationship with the Catalan giant has deteriorated after he publicly expressed concerns over his value at the club. Both sides are now in direct negotiations with a transfer fee expected to be between 50 to 65 million euros. The Spanish forward has just 1 year remaining on his Barcelona contract, putting pressure on the club to negotiate a sale rather than risk losing him for free next summer. Meanwhile, Senegalese midfielder Idrissa Gana Gueye has joined fellow countryman Sadio Mane in the Saudi Pro League, signing for newly promoted Al Diriyah. After leaving Everton at the end of his contract, Gueye joins a squad that has also welcomed DR Congo captain Chancel Mbeba and Bosnia and Herzegovina goalkeeper Nikola Navazil. And in Spain, World Cup winner Marc Cucurella and France international Ibrahim Konate have officially begun training with the Galacticos, that is Real Madrid, as preparations for the new season gather pace. Well, and that's the end of the sports news. We move on to international news. Don't go anywhere.
On the international front, the Democratic Republic of Congo has released a boat that was detained over fears of Ebola on board. According to the DRC's health minister, the vessel was mistakenly believed to have come from Kisangani, where Ebola cases have been detected. He said that the boat had actually traveled from Mangala, an area with no reported Ebola cases. The vessel was stopped after a passenger became unwell and was forced to disembark with symptoms similar to Ebola. The person later died, but no samples were taken, making it impossible to confirm the cause of death. 2 children and another adult has also died aboard the boat, but tests showed they did not have Ebola. Other passengers who developed symptoms also tested negative. Authorities in Kinshasa say they will continue monitoring boats traveling downriver of the capital. And that's how we wrap up this edition of Newsroom Live on GHOne TV, but you can log on to starfm.com.gh for more news. I am Nadima Umar Uthman. Good afternoon.